Hey, everybody. Got a problem with my eyes. What's up? Welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I am your host, Dougie Almeida, coming to you live from Simpsonville, South Carolina, where I'm blending in every day. Matter of fact, this is a bit of a Greenville show. I have two of my good friends, newer friends in comedy, from the Greenville, South Carolina scene. We'll get to meet them today. And of course, if you know the show, we have three segments. Let me ask you, or basically ask completely ridiculous questions to our guests. Then, did you hear, where we go over stories that you may or may not have heard of? I heard of them. And of course, let's associate, where we kind of play the word association game. I say a phrase or word, and our guests get to share the first thing that comes to mind, whether it's a story, a word, or anything. And we try to make it funny because this is a comedy podcast, everybody. Without further ado, let me introduce our guest today from the Greenville comedy scene. A couple gentlemen one gentleman is my regular opening act. He's very funny, been doing comedy for years. People say, why are you letting this guy open for you? He's funny as fuck. Mr. David Zaslov and local funny man, Jacob Nolan. What's up, dudes?
How's it going?
There
Great
you
to be
go.
here.
Good to be here. Great.
Somebody tell
Let's go.
Jacob it's not good. Tell Jacob it's not a good idea to be eating on a fucking podcast. I mean, can you stop eating, you fat
I'm
pig?
I'm between dinners and I need a snack.
Yeah. Well, Jacob's lost a lot of weight though. You got to give him a hand. Like when I first met Jacob, he was, he was pudgy and round.
I was 212 when you met me, and I'm only 208 now. So I'm really crushing it.
Well, that's not that much.
I mean,
Still eating.
it's like kilograms or whatever. It's fine.
I've gone in the last 2 months, 3 months. I've gone from 270 something pounds to 244 pounds.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's pretty solid.
Everybody notices on my videos on social media, like, wow, I can see your chin line.
Yeah, the chin is nice.
Yeah, right, like that. Don't have to have the camera way up here either. Anyway, welcome to the show. Neither one of you guys have been on the show. Let me start with David. David is a longtime comic, entertainer, been in the business a long time. Has opened for me now in the various venues and shows, and now, just like a professional does, he doesn't open anymore. Now he's headlining them fucking venues.
Nice.
Yeah. I got bumped at least $100.
Yeah, isn't that the worst? When you go from feature to fucking headliner.
Drive 8 hours, make $300. Yeah, that's one way. That's including gas, by the way. That's including gas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great to be a headliner. I really love it. Get to do a lot of time. It's great. And I'm not from Greenville. I want people to understand that. I'm a progressive from the Bronx. So I don't want.
Well, I didn't say you're from it. That now you're residing. I mean, you're really in Liberty somewhere where they filmed Deliverance,
that's
right?
worse.
Isn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in South Carolina.
Every once in a while, when I talk to David
I'm the first Jew a lot of people have met out here.
and they all think he's Jeffrey Epstein. So they're all, he's alive.
Absolutely.
Jacob, on the other hand, is a newer comic who I've noticed and had him open for some shows. We got a lot of newer comics here in Greenville. So there's not a lot of people that can fill a 10, 15, 20-minute spot yet, but Jacob's one of those fellas.
Appreciate it, Dougie. It's been a lot of fun. I did get to open for you in North Carolina, and that ended well for both of us. So I think that was great.
Would you like to elaborate on? Would you like to?
The show didn't go well, but I did get to meet Dougie's long lost middle aged cousin, and she allowed me to, learn a few things in between the thighs. That was nice, and now
she was a pretty big woman. I'm surprised you can get between the thighs because she, was that.
Well, it was. I told Dougie I'm gonna go hook up with this chick, and he says, "Don't let her eat you." And I said, "No, the big one, the old one." And so I took the literally 50-year-old lady back to the hotel. I thought Chris Wilson was gonna become more palsied.
Yeah, for our listeners, Chris Wilson's another local comic, very funny comic who happened to be along on the trip, and probably had a bear Jacob banging this geriatric older woman.
Yeah, to David's point on money and comedy, I featured this for the show, but I got to drive, and so I drove 8 hours. I made $75 on the show, but I accidentally put non-ethanol gas in my car, and so it was $100 to fill up my car. So I lost money because of my stupid gas choices. So fuck the planet, save the money, and make $25 on your 15-minute set. Okay.
That's right. I
I
mean,
also
let's
sell
face it.
plastic.
Sometimes I'm been doing this 17 years. I will still do a gig, even though the money may not be perfect, just to do the gig. I'm still at the point where the value of the gig is more important to me than the value I'm getting paid. You
Yeah,
know,
The
yeah.
gig is
sometimes,
To
always
get
some,
great.
to
The gig is always important.
Well, Zaslav said that this room was awesome, and I wanted to do a show with Chris and Dougie, two of my good pals who I respect. I mean, I would have done that show for free. I mean, it was just great to be there. The room was awesome. We got put up in a hotel, and I fucked a 50-year-old woman twice. I mean, I should have paid her for that, honestly, but it was nice.
yeah, yeah. You should have
This is
paid me as
classic
the
show,
pimp.
right?
I hope she taught you
Dougie is my
something.
Dalai Lama. Yeah,
Yeah. Did you learn
it's
anything from
I
her?
got that. Huh?
Did you learn anything from her?
Oh man, wipe before you eat. I guess would be the lesson there.
It's disgusting.
Sorry, sorry. I'm a pig. I'm disgusting. That
No,
was
I
my
think
lesson to
David
her.
would agree with. I think David would agree with me on this, but Jacob is a bit of a. I don't know how he's like you'd categorize his comedy, David. But first of all, he's funny, he's witty. It's but he's a bit dark, right? Would you say dark sometimes, David?
So I was kind of a cross between and slut and masochism.
Yeah,
Thank you, David.
You know,
That's good.
dark is too general. I think he's masochist, neo-fascist slut.
Thank you. That's
yeah.
probably the deepest compliment I've ever received. Thank you, David. That was so
Yeah, well,
nice.
I had to put my brain in another universe to come up
Yeah.
with that language.
If I could have those three characteristics on my tombstone, I would be happy with that. That's pretty nice.
Tell all the MCs you go to, wherever you go to, that's your intro.
There we go. That's right. It beats the Carolina cunt like I've been going up on stage too. So that's much better.
Yeah, where do you go from there when you're introduced as the California Gunt?
It's
You know,
tough. Sometimes it makes the audience kind of get in the vibe like, okay, this is about to be something. And sometimes they're just kind of like, let's see what this douchebag has to offer. He's not going to make me laugh. So sometimes it works against you.
Jacob,
But
did you already have the operation? I didn't know.
no, I'm still I'm back in, in remission. So it's good.
yeah.
Got your
He's
dick
the only
back.
person who got sex. He's the only guy who got a sex change, and it is revocable. I mean, the penis was just so small it didn't matter. I mean, hey, let's
Now,
put this pencil eraser on there; it'd be fine.
yeah, it was inverted. Inverted.
Yeah,
Lucky
I'm
the
saying
doctor
that, but
saved it.
yeah,
What?
the doctor has it hanging on his rearview mirror on his Porsche as a keepsake. Um, Well, real quick, guys. I've made this comment. I think on the show, we discussed open mics and stuff. But don't you think? I know David knows this. Jacob, I think, somewhat coming to terms with it. But we probably got one of the best open mics on a weekly basis here in Greenville at the Comedy Zone. What do you think?
I would highly agree.
I don't agree. I don't know it's the best, but from where I've been, they're all pretty much the same. You know, wherever I go, they're pretty much the same. You get about 10, 15, 20 guys, mostly, a couple of women every now and then. Maybe if you have 20 guys, you have 3 or 4 women. And it's, pretty much a lot of newcomers. Even in LA, it was the same kind of thing.
Right.
In LA, did you have 30, 40, 50 people paying to come see it?
No.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
I
That's the
just think it's
difference.
great to. I just think
Yeah.
it's great to just have the chance to get on an actual club stage every week. That's the only reason why I would say it's a great mic, just because you get to actually be in a club instead of standing on a bar floor somewhere, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that it wasn't great. I just thought that there's a lot of mics similar to that.
Right. Sure.
Maybe I've been to a lot of mics, and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love being at the Comedy Zone, so I'm not knocking that at all. And had a great time and been very well received there. Been a lot of camaraderie, a lot of good people. So it is great, but there's a lot of them. Look at the state. Look how many people are doing comedy. There's zillion people doing comedy in every state. Every state.
Yeah.
Right.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. A little too many people at times. If there's one complaint about the open mic we have, anybody want to share a complaint, suggestion?
It would be nice if if it was the Comedy Zone, it would be nice to have a shorter list, and if there was a little bit of quality control. I mean, it's an open mic, so I don't really want to say that. That's kind of blasphemy for an open mic, but it would be kind of nice if the Comedy Zone was kind of held as kind of like the better quality mic to be at, or as an audience member or a comic, because you are paying to go see it, and it is a comedy club. So it would be kind of nice if that was an opportunity as more of like a showcase for local comedy instead of just the open mic. But again, it is an open mic for a reason.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of longer
David?
spots, maybe like a couple 10-minute spots.
David?
It's pretty much like you can't quality control it. You can get rid of people faster if it's going really badly. You can't play music off. You can just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if someone's really fucking up, that wouldn't be a bad idea. But that
Sure.
doesn't,
I agree with that.
no one's really that bad. You don't see people that bad. Every night, mediocre bad is where it's at.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
Yeah.
I believe in the 3 to 5 minute set for an open mic. You get 3 to 5 minutes. You'll get a 1 minute light. And if you get a minute,
Yeah.
if you get a light at 2 minutes, that means you're not doing well. You're just not, and I've made some comments to folks. There's a few no-nos to me in open mics. Number one, don't go up and do your crowd work at an open mic. Unless you have an hour of material, you need to work on your material. If you don't have that much material, why are you doing crowd work? Number one. And nothing, if I ran an open mic and somebody went up and said, "What do you guys want to talk about?" I would go, "Light, just get the fuck off stage."
Yeah.
You got all
Yeah.
day to sit there and figure out what you're going to fucking say, and you're going to ask the crowd what you want to say. That to me differentiates the difference between a hobbyist and somebody who's really trying to do well at what they're doing. You know what I mean?
That does make
Don't
sense.
don't just show up. Don't just show up and say I'm going to get on stage and do whatever I think I might do. I for the most part have a list of shit I want to work on. You know what I mean? And that's it. That's all I care about for an open mic. Sometimes you go to an open mic and it's a show. There's a lot of people there and people are killing it. They're like, fuck it, I'm going to do my material. Then you could do that, brush up in your material. But I just think an open mic is made for, new to work on new shit. And if you're new, it's all new shit. You know what I mean? If you're a comic and 1 year or 2 years in, it's all new shit. You know what I mean? So that's a different thing. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Enough of the
I think the
preliminary
Comedy
shit.
Zone. The Comedy Zone is a really professional club as compared to any other club in Greenville, and it should be treated. People who go there, even for the open mic, should treat it like that level of. You get major comics coming to that club, so the level of professionalism. You're right. People should not just go up there and do crowd work. Every now and then say something, but it's a professional club.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
it's
and le- and
valuable
let's
time.
face it. Let's face it. Hold on, let me see. Let's face it. Number one, let me see something. Okay. What was I gonna say? Like, the other thing I kind of get mad at. Don't get mad at the crowd. Don't say the crowd doesn't know what the fuck is funny when you're not funny.
Yeah.
There's a couple people that do that on a regular basis, and I'm like, it's not the crowd. It's not the fucking crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really you. And and then the thing about crowd work is we had that incident a few weeks back where that girl wouldn't shut the fuck up, and I had to put her in her place. I don't know who was there. If you guys were there, I'm dead. But it got really tense, and she wouldn't shut the fuck up, and she's talking. But she only got that way because other comics were talking to her during the show, like using
Right.
her. If your fucking material isn't working, and you got to rely on crowd work. Okay, I get it. You want to salvage your open mic spot, but listen, if that's the case, next time you come, you better be doing material.
Right.
I mentioned to somebody, I've never seen a comic get hired because of their crowd work. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I've seen comics not get work because they do crowd work or too much crowd
Right.
work. I've known headliners that wouldn't let somebody open because they do crowd work. So it's not something that's going to definitely help. All right.
Right.
Then you have someone like then you have someone like Jimmy Brogan. I don't know if you know Jimmy Brogan. He used to be the talent guy for Jay Leno. All he did was crowd work, and he was brilliant at it. Just brilliant. You couldn't get better. I mean, he was brilliant. And Paula Poundstone, brilliant at crowd work. Just monster people. That's what they do. They don't they don't they, but that's a specialty. That's a whole specialty.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only way you're going to be
Well,
good at it is if you're good at it, right? I mean, if you got to be proficient at it, you got to be good at it. Don't force it. A lot of people trying to force it, and they'll ask questions with no punchlines. If you're asking more than 2 or 3 questions of somebody and you haven't got a fucking punchline out yet, you're not doing crowd work. You're just annoying people. You know.
Yeah, and it's not great to just ask 12 people in a row what kind of dog they have or what do they do for work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can do it, but don't do it to 12 people in a row. But the thing about the open mic is, it's valuable time. It's a valuable spot. Whether you do 1 or 3 or 5 nights a week, it's a valuable 5 minutes. You only get 5 minutes, so don't go up there and just say, "What do you guys want to talk about?" That's such an angering thing to do. If I do some crowd work, I've almost always thought of it before I got up on stage. If I noticed something with a person or if I noticed something with another comic, I've almost always thought about it before I got on stage, and I used it to open my set, and then I always went back to the material, or I spread it out throughout the set. But it's always
Yeah.
pointed crowd work. It's not just, "Oh, hey, what's going on here, guys?" And then I make up
Searching.
something.
It's not
That
crowd
almost
work
never
searching
works.
for material. It's not crowd
Yeah,
work that's
exactly.
searching for material. It's material that's already there to go. The transition
Exactly.
stuff is good. Sometimes somebody go up, and I remember George, funny guy, local guy, older comic here in the South Carolina area. He'll go up and he does some creepy jokes. So I think one time he got up and I got off. Let's hear it for that creepy fuck. You know what I mean? Because it was just funny because he was just telling that shit. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
know, and I know even David said at one time, like, "Hey, and then I think what happened was, then there was a few other amateur comics that tried to do it. Like one guy tried to make fun of me, and it bombed. I called him out from the back of
Yeah.
the room. Yeah, I'm
I heard
like,
that.
you know,
That was
you
awesome.
remember that? I'm like, try the next joke. You know what I mean?
I heard that.
But
I heard that. Yeah.
you don't want to like rag on somebody, but if something is just if it's funny, like you said, or you're reflecting something of the joke, like I love that when I'm in a regular show, like I'm featuring a headliner and the person up before me is killing or did something great, I'll utilize something like that. Like wow, like I think David, does a bit about pussy, and I'll come up after him and go, boy, that guy loves pussy. You know what I mean? And it's just funny because
Yeah.
You've
obviously he
done that
does.
many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this? How about no phones on stage?
Yeah.
Take away the phones. Work on your material, get it in your brain, and no phones, no notes. Just go up.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
for an open mic though, sometimes I have my phone. That's where I got my lineup. I'll look down at it. But yeah, I mean, it's like reading karaoke. Um, it doesn't come off the same. But I agree.
I just kind
Especially
of
if
would
you've been
like.
doing the same shit for a while. If you're doing the same shit for a while and you're still looking at fucking notes.
Right.
Well, I would kind of like to see, and again, I don't even know if this is right or wrong, but I would kind of like to see the Comedy Zone be put slightly above the other mics in town, just because it is a club, and people are specifically there only for comedy. They're not there also for coffee or another show or a bar or whatever else. They're only there to see comedy. So it would be kind of nice if they implied some of those rules, like David said, like the no, even if it is no phones, just be like, hey, if you are going to come here, have your shit down, and you've already worked it out at coffee and radio room and maybe another mic. Now it's time to perform it. When I was doing all the other mics, I would start it on Monday, I would work it out again on Wednesday, and then I would perform it on Thursday. That's kind of my rule. And so maybe that'd be kind of a nice idea for everyone to put in their head, like, hey, the Comedy Zone is where we need to have it down at, because people are paying to come
Well,
see it. That's not a bad way
I
to
think
look
that's
at it.
great. That is great because bottom line is the Comedy Zone's looking for hosts. You know, they don't
Yeah.
have a good selection of hosts. They want to use local talent. You know,
Yep. Yep.
and it's
Exactly.
gotten down to the point, like I think David had some things come up, but was going to host all this month. I'm hosting pretty much all of May. You know what I mean? Because I want to be in town.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? So, it's nice so to have, but that's the opportunity. And then if you practice like that, like David said, if you go on stage and you're constantly practicing with your notes on stage, it's 5 minutes. There's an old saying, if you can't remember 5 minutes, it's not funny enough to remember. It's probably not funny enough to tell. That's something somebody said one time that went, about a
That's good
comic who always
advice.
went up with his notes, and
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Good advice.
All right, let's
Well, also,
jump into.
you
Go
should.
ahead, buddy.
I was just gonna say you shouldn't have notes on stage if the comics that know you are reciting your set while you're on there. We've seen that a
So
couple of times.
there's something else that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep. But when you have your notes, you're not really able to access your soul, and it's your soul that's funny. It's your
Yep.
being that's funny. And if you're reading your fucking notes, then
Yeah.
you're blocking your basic funny. So that's what
Yeah.
Yeah.
you want to reach when you're on stage.
I
That's
definitely think
true.
if you got the joke, if you have the joke like last week when I was there, I didn't really have jokes, but I had a lot of premises, like ideas of premises. So I was just reading out the premises to see if it would be funny, and then try to fall into something from it. But that's the thing. I mean, listen, people know a difference between a professional and an amateur. You know what I mean? They pretty much know once you start talking and shit. But yeah, I think for the up and coming comic, I think like you, and I really agree with both of you guys, is that you need to come out on that open mic and you need to show Brandon or whoever else is there that, hey, you got your shit together. Here's the 5 minutes. I'm going to work on this next week. Guess what I'm going to do? Another 5 minutes, and then the week after. So that way, that guy. Oh, that guy. I saw that guy do three different 5 minute sets. He can
Yep.
host. That person can host.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
great.
agree.
That's a good
All right,
point,
let's
Dougie.
get it. Let's get into the set. Let's get into the set. Let me ask you. This is where I ask you questions that you guys may or may not be prepared for, but answer them as honestly as you possibly can. Let's start with Jacob. Madonna, older hottie or dried up skank? See a photo. We have a recent photo of her, Ben.
Ooh, I
Oh, look
actually
at
have one
that
on my
fucking face.
nightstand. Yeah,
Look at
I
Ooh,
have one on the
baby.
nightstand. I'm thinking that's like maybe an Avatar character, but if you say it's Madonna, I would say more of the dried up slank.
Yeah.
That's a slut skank. Yeah.
I mean, you had sex with a 50-year-old overweight uh, uh,
Don't bring her up, Dougie.
beast.
She was a nice lady.
I'm just saying, but you would obviously have sex with Madonna because you could say
I
you
didn't say I
banged
wouldn't have
Madonna.
sex with her. I didn't say I wouldn't have
Okay.
sex with her. I mean, she's the love of my life. But
What do you think, David?
I don't know. I saw those photographs that were just shown, and they're disgusting. That's just disgusting. Those are
Yeah.
really horrible photographs. I mean, but
yeah,
when you think about Madonna, the thing about her is, no matter what her age is, that woman is unbelievably courageous, adventurous, willing to take risks. Just an incredible human being to have done what she done. So I don't see her as being skanky or old or any of that. She's just a warehouse of willingness. I mean, I remember she was in a modeling show, and she walked out in front of a whole audience of celebrities with a dress that started at her waist and her tits out. And this is like 30 years ago. No one did shit like that. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I just see
I
her
think
as a
that's called a
very
skirt.
no. It wasn't a skirt. It was
Oh, okay,
higher up. Yeah, I
nice.
don't know. I don't know really how to describe it. But the point was her tits were out, and it was shocking and
Yeah,
incredible. And
yeah.
Yeah.
so I got to give her a lot of credit. I've never been in a room with her. I have no idea what it would feel like, but
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
Well,
incredible. That
I agree with you on that. She was an icon in the '80s. She had her own style. She was the sexual aspect of it. But now she's old, and now she's telling people that people are intimidated by her power and her things. And God bless anybody. Vanity is a hard sin to overcome. And if you were, if you were beautiful, and all that kind of stuff when you were younger, and those looks start to fade, that could be a tough thing to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Pictures are
definitely
horrible.
will.
I don't know why
Pictures
she
are
took
rough.
did that pose.
Yeah. There are a couple
Yeah,
of poses. There are a couple of poses where I look worse than that at 25. So, I'm not saying I have any room to talk here, but yeah, I think being a celebrity for 40 years probably has some things that come with it. You know?
yeah, yeah. It's always amazing when you see some celebrities without makeup. It's like the first time you go out with a stripper, you meet her in the strip club, she's so hot, and then when you go out with her to go shopping, you're like, what the fuck? What happened to the girl I
Yeah,
met in the strip club? It's like when you see your teacher outside the classroom. It's a completely different scenario.
that's a good
All
point.
right. Let me ask you. Let me start with you, David. This is a question that's being asked of many people nowadays, considering the transgender movement and everything. But what is a woman?
What is a woman? Stubborn. A woman is always right. um, today a woman is whatever you think you are. It seems to be what's happening. You have these
Yeah.
transgender people, and guys who have dicks and think they're women. And I've always said, a lot of these guys with dicks are trying to play sports, and I always thought if you don't have the balls to cut off your balls, you got to play ball with the rest of the dicks.
Right. That's a good point.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
good
it's
wordsmith.
it. What is a woman? A woman is many things. A woman is a sexual object. A woman is a mother. A woman is nurturing. Women are hostile. Women are killers. There's nothing a woman isn't, and they're all trying to um, get back at men for being subjugated for so long. That's
Yeah.
that's the thing that I get. Women are being almost like men were years ago,
Hmm.
and if they're trying to attain power, and in doing so, they're going pretty far. And a lot of men are letting them have power over them. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Uh, and then on the other side, women are fucking phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. If they just stick to being women.
Yeah.
If they try to be more than what they are, then it's a pain in the ass.
Jacob.
Boy, David is really beating me in every aspect of this interview, but I'm gonna say a woman is tough. Uh, you know, I would like to say that it's two. Personally, I didn't know there was a difference between gender and sex until like 3 months ago, so I'm a little out of the loop on this situation, and I have no authority to speak on it. But I kind of thought there were the guys and the gals, but um, the truth is, whether I believe you or not, if that makes you feel better and live your life, I'm not gonna. I mean, it's no reason for me to tell you that you're a piece of shit that's trying to rape my kids that I don't have or something. But as far as gender go, I always thought there was two. But if it makes you feel better and it makes you not want to kill yourself, calling yourself a woman, I mean, I'd rather you not kill yourself. So, I mean, I really don't know if that's not a great answer, but it's a very terrifying question, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Not terrifying as in
I
someone's
think.
going to get mad at me, but it's terrifying because it's so simple, but it's so complicated now because we made it complicated. I guess I don't
Yeah,
know.
because people are too scared to offend. To me, a woman is an adult female. That's the answer that seems to be circulating now as the simplest and the most accurate. But now, if there's a guy who thinks he's a woman, if I'm standing in front of that person, they go, "I'm a ma'am." I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? But I am of the ilk, whereas I'm going to trust my eyes, I'm going to trust my instinct, and if somebody says to me, like, okay, ma'am, I'll say, ma'am. But if they say, "Is this a woman?" I'm going to go, "No, it's not a woman." Well, how dare you? Like, it's not a fucking woman. Okay, it may be a
Yeah,
guy who thinks they're a woman or associates. I get it, I God bless them. I understand. I wish them all the luck in the world. But if you're going to ask me, it's a fucking guy, and that's just, don't tell me to think any way else. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. And this is the aspect of what we're doing. Kind of gets into the next question. Have you guys quit drinking Bud Light and stopped wearing Nike sports bras because the companies decided to use a transgender woman, Dylan Mulvaney?
Wow,
There
pretty
she
woman.
is.
David's the beer drinker.
Yeah, look at that.
This person has done a lot of work. That's a very expensive woman.
Yeah.
Hey, it costs a lot of money to make that change.
That's true.
You got to be very you got to be very dedicated, and in some ways very courageous to be able to. I went to transgender meetings 50 years ago. So I went into one. There was about 12 guys, all in different phases of becoming a woman, and
What
I was
was your
sitting there.
role in it? Well, hold on a second, David. Hold on. Where was your role in this? Were you one of them that was considering it, or you with a friend to help them through it? What was your?
No, I just wanted to see what the hell it was about. I had no idea, and I saw an ad. I was in Seattle. I saw an ad in the paper for a transgender counseling session, and I went because I'm curious. And and this guy came in. He was really happy. He stands in front of the room, and he lifts up his skirt and he says, "I'm so happy. My penis is nearly gone."
Oh,
And
right.
my thought was, "Oh, I'm in the wrong room." But I'm not gonna let go of my dick. But it was a phenomenal thing to meet these guys who were becoming women and what they had. I met a black guy in the room who was trying to turn himself into a blonde white woman on a low budget,
Wow.
and
Wow.
it was very incredible, and super sweet. You don't get any sweeter than these guys. These guys were so sweet, so nice, and trying to be
Yeah.
so feminine. And it's such a difficult journey to take that journey, and it's getting worse for them right now politically. It's just really worse.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I'm just from a little teeny town in South Carolina, so you can imagine my traditional beliefs and how I was raised and everything else. And I'm not mad about that at all. You know, I still believe most of it. But the one thing that has changed is moving to the big city of Greenville is saying that I just love people. Whether you're different than me, a different color than me, a different religion than me, I just love people. And when you get to talking to these people as in different colored people, different religious people, different gender people, we're all just people. And we deal with the same insecurities and same bullshit. Some of us a little different than others, obviously. And I know one transgender person that I'm friends with, and she's wonderful. And if she if that makes her happy, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, you're not this." I'm gonna tell you what you're not and what you are. Whether I believe it or not believe it, I'm not gonna go screaming at her face and not be her friend because she's a great person, and so I'm more than
Yeah.
happy to kind of switch up that. But that's just because I love people, and I'm not gonna change that just because I may or may not agree with you on something. So now, do I think they should do it to 4-year-olds without them telling their parents something? I'm not. I don't think that at all. But if you're an adult and you're 27
Eh,
and you've done through this, I mean, listen, I'm more than happy for you. You know what's better for you than what I know is for you. So I mean, I'm
yeah.
just trying to be
Yeah.
accepting of that.
Yeah. I listen. It's a mental disorder. I believe God doesn't make mistakes. I think Dave would probably disagree with that. Um, I don't think God makes mistakes. I just think we're all put under the grace and have to figure it out. And we do have a transgender woman, right, in the comedy scene in South Carolina. But
Yeah,
she's great. But she's not the kind of person who gets mad. Very fun loving. Wouldn't doesn't give a shit about your opinion. That's the beauty of it. It's like one of the
yeah,
things I always respected of my gay friends. They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a shit how you felt about them. They didn't make you. They weren't upset if you didn't. You know what I mean? They'd lived their life. They didn't give a shit. And that was always the thing I was admired. Like,
right,
wow, it's got to be tough. And I admire your bravery and all that good shit. But it's like
yeah,
if people cross the line, they cross the line when they expect you to look at it exactly the way they want you to look at it. Like, look, I get it. I applaud your cause. Like you said, the problem that the transgender community is having now is because the indoctrination of children. there's discussions of whether you let a 10-year-old make such a decision. It's very I know I talked to a lot of attorneys, and there's a huge amount of attorneys that are preparing for the malpractice cases that are going to come out in the next several years for the doctors that go through this. And there's all kind of disclaimers these doctors have to go through, but I don't give a shit. This is where the disclaimer holds no water. And then because you could sue the parents, the parents can then turn around and say, hey, you're the doctor. You're supposed to tell me what's right. Do no harm. Parent can be, I just want to help my kid. So it's going to be interesting what we're going to probably see with the whole thing. But it's unfortunate because, if an adult wants to do it, the adult could do whatever the hell they want to do. But when you keep pushing and try to tell me that, a parent, a parent, I always said that if a parent wanted to let their kid do that, they should also let the kid have power of attorney and health surrogate rights over the parents. The parents get into a car accident, then that same kid who just cut off their wiener can actually have their parents sign a DNR for their parents and collect all the inheritance. That might not be too bad.
There's another thing that we're all born with male and female. We know this. I mean, this is nothing new. But I have a deep feminine side. There's no doubt about that. And it's just a term for being sensitive. And men are supposed to be insensitive and not cry. All that shit is garbage. We're all a tremendous mix of whatever is out there, male and female. And I do know that all the shamans, all the healers, and all the medicine men in primitive tribes were bisexual, were not transgender because there weren't the tools to make the change back then. But the ability to switch back and forth between male and female senses is phenomenal.
Yeah, the senses, I can see that. I can see what you mean by the senses, and especially shamans or healers being on different feminine side versus male side. One thing is I'll never say what someone else feels because I've never felt that, and so I really hate to put myself in a position to say something that I've never felt before, whether I think it's right or not. I'm also saying it from my perspective, and that could be limiting, And I don't want for kids to be able to make just lifelong decisions when they're 5 or 6 or 7, but I don't know if you can ever be right because at the same time, if they do know what they're talking about and they're 6 or 7 or 8, then you held them back for 15 years. And so there's no right or wrong, and the safe bet is to say, hey, you're not doing anything till you're an adult. I get why that's the safe bet, but I'm just saying the other side of that is, oh, hey, I was gay my whole life when I was 10, but I can tell him when I was 33 when my dad died. It's kind of like a similar side of that, And so I'm not saying I agree with that at all, but there is a couple. I just
But
don't
at
know if there's a
least,
right answer.
but at least with the gay thing, I mean, I grew up in an age where there was guys we knew were gay, but they didn't tell anybody that, but we knew. You
Yeah,
just knew, and
yeah,
it wasn't a big deal, and it's a struggle. It's I feel for anybody who has to deal with that, it's bad enough trying to get through life as it is without knowing who you are, what you know what I mean, feeling uncomfortable. I can only imagine. But
right,
at the same
right.
time, with gay, it's like you don't have to physically do anything, and you
Yeah,
could
of
just
course.
eventually, who knows? And it's a battle. I mean, I may come out someday, who knows? But I'm not yet. All
I
right, let's
doubt
move
it.
on to the next question. I doubt it.
But
Okay, let me.
there's one other. Wait, Dougie. There's one other thing. The one thing that I really had a hard time with that really tall guy who turned himself into a woman, and he's a swimmer, and he won the race. And you see him; he's just towering over these shorter girls, and of course he won
Yeah,
the
that was
race. It's
terrible.
just that wasn't. There's something that's just not fair about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey,
By the way, Ben,
one of
what
the
happened? What happened? What happened? I don't see.
I,
I don't see Jacob. What happened?
that's my phone.
But
My phone's on
he
5%.
he blacked
I have to get a
out.
phone charger.
Yeah, he passed out
Sorry,
because he saw a
No,
picture of that
he blacked
50-year-old girl
out.
he banged.
I was hiding my pussy.
Fucking guy. Oh my God, this guy. All right, we'll carry on until he gets back on, David. But yeah, you're right. The problem with that, I have a simple solution for that because there's so many trans athletes more and more nowadays. There should be an open category, male, female, an open category. If you want to compete with, if
No,
you're, if you're,
I think the transgender people should have their own Olympics. Period.
well, that's until there's enough of them. There might not be until there's enough of them. They may not have. That's why I'm thinking an open category. If you have an open category, you could say, you're a man, a transgender woman, then it's an open category. You could compete with men, women, whoever wants to be in the open category.
I think
So
I no, I think they deserve their own Olympics. There's a special Olympics for people who have those
that's a good
needs,
point.
and I think there should be transgender if you change if a person changes their plumbing, then you should change the plumbing in the school. It's like they should they should have their own bathroom. Give them, it's going to cost a lot of money, but give them their own bathroom. Not don't I wouldn't want to be a girl in school and have some guy who turned himself into a girl and come into the. I wouldn't want that. Give them their own bathroom. We got the money. Just print it up. Just direct deposit it somewhere.
Yeah, there you go. Solution. And here's the thing: not only schools, right? There was a famous rape case in Virginia that they didn't tell people about, and the school hid it because of the narrative behind it. But this kid raped this girl because he identified as a woman, but he raped a girl, and he got moved out of another school where he did the same thing. And then the school tried to protect the child and all kinds of shit. And now you're having that problem in prisons. There's sex offenders, male sex offenders that are going, yeah, you know what? I'm a woman, and they want to go and they want to move to a woman's prison. So they're actually being moved to fucking women's prisons. So that's where it gets a bit ridiculous. And I don't know what happened to Jacob, but we hope he comes back and see what happens. All right, let me ask you, David, what is your best vertical leap? You ever been a high jumper? Have you ever been able to? Would you ever measure?
An actual vertical leap? Are
Yeah.
you actually talking not emotional, physical?
Yeah, vertical leap, physical vertical leap.
I guess it would happen when I was on skis. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I'm big into skiing, and I loved. I don't know. I don't know. I guess maybe 16 feet, something like that.
Oh,
well, that's not a
okay.
leap.
Well,
That's going
that's
downhill.
a jump. That's yeah. There he is.
Yo.
Welcome back. So David, you like that's skiing. That's when you're flying. You fly off a fucking ski lift or fucking lift.
Yeah.
But I mean, like jump. Like if you had to jump onto a curb or you had to jump onto a box or.
Oh, what's the highest I could jump?
Yeah.
White men don't jump. I would say, I don't know, like 2 feet. I guess I'm looking at my. I would have to run to my desk. That's 3 feet. I could jump that high, but that's a leap.
Yeah.
That's not.
Well, that's a running leap. Yeah. Vertical jump means
Yeah.
you from a standstill position. But that's pretty good. Like, listen, honestly, with my current state, I could barely jump onto a magazine on the floor.
Right.
I have the vertical leap of a magazine. Jacob, what's your vertical leap? What's your how high you think you can jump?
I would like to say in high school I could grab rim on the basketball goal, but that was high school. Right now I'm gonna say 3 feet. I can do 3 feet.
Well, you could really because you're only what? How tall are you? 5'10"?
5'10", yeah.
And you could jump and grab.
3 feet.
Well, you said 2 feet, David. You're 40 years older than me. I figured I could do 3 feet. I figured I could beat you by
No,
one
I'm
foot.
rethinking it. I'm thinking more like 5 inches, 6 inches.
Okay, all right. Well,
from a standstill, Jake. From a standstill, you got to be in a standstill and you jump.
But you're bending your knees, right? I mean, you're picking your legs up all the way.
A vertical leap means you're from a standstill. You maybe take a step, but you basically jump up.
All right, I'll say.
I still don't. First of all, I still calling bullshit on you being able to fucking at your height, being able to jump and grab and hold on to the basket rim.
I was in great shape.
You Spud Webb. You could. I mean, that's. It's 9 feet high, right? That basket 9 feet high.
Yeah, it's 9 feet.
So you'd have to have a 3.5, 4 foot vertical jump.
Well, it was a running leap, but I'm 5'10",
he
and then your
he
arms.
started in
I'm
Florida and
5'10",
it took off in South Carolina.
but no, like I'm
I'm,
5'10". My arms what? A foot and a half? You know, I mean, you can get there.
All
I'm
right.
beginning to distrust you.
Oh, come
Yeah,
on!
I think I don't think
This
he
was
really banged that
45
girl.
pounds ago. This was 45 pounds ago.
I don't give a shit, dude. I don't give a shit. I'd be hard to. I'd love to see a picture of you hanging from a fucking basketball, fucking hoop.
You might get to
We
see it,
got
but
we got to find the basketball. We got to find the basketball court for you. That'll be the
you
task.
might
We got to find the basketball court.
Dougie, if you see a picture of me hanging from a basketball goal, I'm gonna have a rope around my neck. That's gonna be all you see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. Wow. All right, let's get to a different subject. What is your favorite Slurpee flavor, Jacob?
I'm going blue.
You like the blueberries,
Yeah, the
David?
blue is solid.
I never had one. I never had a Slurpee. That's
You never
before.
had a
That's
fucking
after my time.
Slurpee?
Never. I had
There's
ices when
nothing.
I was a kid, but not a Slurpee.
Yeah.
Well,
Never.
I was counting ices.
Oh yeah.
Italian ices in the Bronx.
Oh, the best. I love the Slurpee. I like the mix cherry and Coca Cola. I love to have them
Okay,
mixed. All right.
very nice.
If you fly, let me ask you this question: when you fly, David, aisle or window?
Aisle for sure. I hate to be locked in. I'm too big for the. I'm too big for those fucking seats. I got a window
Yeah.
seat locks me in if there's 2 or 3 people. I always take it. I always get an aisle. Always.
David,
And then,
Jacob.
and then I have to be careful to not let the cart knock my elbow. Always. The cart is always knocking into me.
I'm the opposite. I like a window. I want to see the world, baby.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm a window seater because I like to lean up and sleep against the window. But I definitely don't like it when I got to take a piss and everybody else is asleep and I got to wake them up to let me go piss.
Yeah.
A little difficult. If you guys could have dinner with anyone from history, who would it be? Jacob.
Joe Biden 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Say it again.
I said Joe Biden 8 years ago. Just kidding. No. In history, I would love to. I would love to have dinner with Robin Williams. He was always a big. He was a big childhood guy for me.
Nice. David.
For me it would be Jesus. I like
Yeah.
another Jew. One Jew talking to another. I'd like to member of the tribe. I would like to talk to Jesus because he's a miracle man. Just he had more followers than anybody without computers. Just mind boggling.
Prior to social media. Yeah. I'd
It's
be
true.
funny watching you guys eating and then figure out who's going to pay the bill. You don't have your wallet, Jesus? No, I don't. I left it in my other robe.
Dang. What about you, Dougie?
There you go. I always said it would be somebody like Jesse Owens. I always thought it was amazing how he put it into the face of fucking Hitler. I would have loved to talk to him at dinner after that had happened, just to know that.
He
Uh,
died. He drowned in a puddle. Did you know that?
no.
He died. He drowned in a puddle. He was destitute, and I think he was drunk, and he drowned in a puddle.
Oh.
That's
All right.
yeah.
Let me change my answer then. I don't want to. I wouldn't want to have dinner
No,
with
no, it's a
somebody.
great answer. It's a great answer.
Yeah, I think about that. All right. Last question. This is very important. You hear it all the time, but what does it mean to die of natural causes?
Your immune
That's just
system
David?
and your
old age.
cells are just exhausted. I mean, your immune system has it's put up with whatever you've done to it. Whoops!
There you go.
Everybody disappeared.
Yeah, there's a screen going.
Oh, now you're back.
Says it's
I
not a
think
medical term.
your cells and your immune system have just had enough. There's only so much they can put up with, and then the microbe and the other viruses take over. and you die of natural causes, being eaten by other viruses or microbes.
Dr. Jacob, what do you think?
I mean, you could naturally die from a shotgun wound to the forehead. That would be you would die pretty naturally from that. But I don't know. I just always assumed natural cause was old age, and you
Yeah.
eventually just wear out. I mean, kind of like David's answer, you just wear out.
Well, technically, it means when you die when there's no illness or accident. In other words,
Oh,
you
that makes
just
sense.
for something happened. Just basically, there's no reason for it. You didn't die of cancer or illness or choking, or you basically just died. There was no action or thing that occurred. And there was no illness. It just happened.
You mean
Interesting, right? You
like
always hear it. But
the people that die from COVID?
yeah, those people, like the people who they had COVID,
I'm
but they
just
had a
kidding.
heart attack. They had a heart
I'm
attack, and they
kidding,
still
David.
put it down as a COVID death. Yeah, you know what I'm talking
Don't hate me,
about.
David.
All
I'm kidding. It's a comedy show.
right. All right, let's get through the show. Okay, this is our subject. Did you hear? These are funny stories. I'm going to go through the headlines. Unfortunately, Jacob, because he's sitting in for Brandon, who didn't make it today, didn't have much chance to read and go over the stories. David did, of course. But let's get through it. No true words. Mississippi police appalled arrest woman accused of filming disgusting sexual acts with dogs. One of them was a German Shepherd. Don't get upset, David. But you know, I mean, the old question comes: did you ever put peanut butter on your dick, and let a dog lick it? I mean, there's a lot of people that wouldn't want to admit that, but a lot of people have done that. But to actually have sex with a dog, um, anybody? Anybody in your
Dougie,
past knew had?
the important thing here is, was it consensual?
Yeah, bark once for yes, bark two for no.
I think
uh,
she was
I
not. I
think
read the article. She was 19 years old, and I
yeah,
think she was just practice. I think she was just practicing. Might have been that might have been the first time she had sex, and she was just trying to figure it out. And she's nine. I wanted to see. I saw pictures of her. I wanted to see a picture of the dog.
yeah. They couldn't. They could. They couldn't have the dog sit down long enough because he was so fucking happy. Um,
yeah. I think dogs are natural people pleasers, in any way, shape, or form. But that's a bummer. I don't think a dog can say yes, so that's a bummer. But
I,
also a
I
bummer
don't. I don't.
because what,
I
David?
don't think bestiality should be illegal. I think
no.
that's very Christian. I think it's very Christian. I think if people want to have sex with animals, they should be able to. History
Well,
is full
You're
of it.
disgusted, David.
as the Christian in the chat, I would like to say, just because it's Christian doesn't mean it should be legal. How about that?
Say that again.
I said, just because it's Christian doesn't mean it should be legal. There's some
Just
very
because
bad
it's
Christian
Christian.
things, right?
Well, yeah. Well, the Christians are pushing to make a lot of things illegal. They want their religion to be the only thing that's legal. I just think you should let people, if they want to have sex with animals, let them have sex with animals. It happens a lot
Yeah,
anyhow.
That's true. I think it's more to protect the animals, though, right?
yeah. I don't think it's not
I
like
don't
the
think so.
animal. It's not like the animal can pick up the phone and go, "Hey, this fucking creepy fuck that's living with me
Yeah,
keeps sticking his dick in my ass. I don't. I just want to go get the
yeah.
paper every morning. I just
It
want to
is
be
a
able to
little. It
bury a
is a little
bone. I
odd.
don't want him to bury his bone in me. Uh, I- you
Yeah.
know, there was a true story that happened to a guy in Florida, maybe 7 years ago, who died because he let a horse fuck him. This guy like
Oh
brought
yeah.
the horse in, built this whole thing, and he was letting the horse bang him in the ass, and the guy died because it completely blew up his whole
Well, yeah, he
intestinal
picked the
system.
wrong. He picked the wrong animal. He should have picked a Chihuahua.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Start off
That's for sure.
small. Yeah,
Right.
start off
He could have
small.
worked his way into it.
Hey, there's a lot of
Yeah.
bestiality in Europe. A lot of
Oh yeah.
bestiality in Europe. And there you go into a video store. They still have video stores in like Croatia. All you'll see
Yeah.
is women and donkeys.
Oh yeah, that's a
Really?
big thing. Yeah, I worked in Italian restaurants, when I was in high school and shit. And every owner of Italian restaurant had a video of the chick who would blew a horse. That would have
Yeah,
sex with a
yeah,
horse
yeah.
or blow the horse. I mean, the
I
horse didn't
need to
look like he
travel
was
more.
pissed. Yeah, or start working at a pizzeria. All right. This is a great story. A YouTuber was making a prank video in Virginia Mall. He said the prankee took it badly and shot him. Good. Good. Fucking play a prank, get shot. I'm all for this. These people, like, especially these people that they film people out there, and then when the cops show up, they're like, you don't have to show you my ID. Just hit him over the fucking head with a billy club, and shove him in the fucking. I'm not enough of these fucking people. They claim they're Earth citizens or global citizens, and they don't have to fucking pay rent. They don't have to have a driver's license. They don't have to do anything. But I love
Pranks
that
have
when these
come a
people.
long way. Jamie Kennedy did some great pranks. He was very funny. He did some great pranks. He once walked into the pool. He was peeing in the pool. Just a phenomenal prank, but not doing harm to anybody. Making fun of himself. And these people are just irritating other people, and eventually you're going to irritate the wrong person.
Yeah, very
Exactly.
dangerous.
Nowadays, with the instability of people nowadays, why the fuck would you take that chance? Tanner Cook, a prankster on YouTube, was in intensive care on Sunday after a bullet pierced his stomach and liver when he tried to
Yeah,
get likes on social media.
yeah. And he's going to go out and do something again. He's already said he's going to do it some more. So
Yeah, he's going to
it's
keep doing it till a
screaming for
horse.
attention.
Yeah,
Screaming for attention is what that is.
he's got 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. Maybe I should go out there and start fucking with people.
That's not very many.
Yeah, well, I got 174 right now at Dougie Almeida. So please go, and while we're at it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube for this show. Okay, so don't watch some guy get shot because he's fucking with somebody. All right, let's see. Next story. This is good. I'm going to ask. I have to ask David about this. But a man in China spends 21 hours begging on his knees for ex-lover to take him back. Boy, did she must have some good pussy.
Well, he was just, he hates himself. He could really, he might really hate himself to go to that, to have to do that.
She was
And I know that
probably
from
the
experience.
only pussy.
What's that,
I know
Jacob?
that from experience. I once begged the woman I was living with. We lived together for 4 years, and it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. She decided to leave, and I went on a 3-day sales pitch to get married, and we got married. And she finally said yes after living together for 4 or 5 years. The marriage lasted about 6 months.
Oof.
So, and I was begging
Well,
her. I I was begging. I did
If you
not want to be.
if you had to narrow it down to one reason, what do you think was? There's a lot of echo. What would you think it was? What was the thing that made you think you needed her so badly?
I thought that when you got married, you stayed together forever. When we got married, she demanded to rewrite the will, the vows, and she took out the "till death do us part."
Yeah.
And I didn't care. I didn't care because we were getting married that day. So take that part out. I didn't care about it. And
yeah.
but
What's that old?
no, I
What's that? What's that old joke? You guys, your guys at the wedding. The priest says, "Do you take this woman for sickness and in health, for better, for worse, for till death do you part?" And the guy go, "Yeah, Richard Report." And the guy says, "Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no." uh, do you ever, Jacob? You ever have a woman just make you do shit you didn't want to do? Like just had you in the palm of her hands?
Ooh, I would say every woman I've ever met. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Nice
was with
of you to
my
be honest.
Yeah, I was with my ex for 5.5 years, and I was like 18 to 24, 18 to 23, I guess. And I mean, that's that kind of relationship. You kind of basically you kind of lose yourself, and you kind of just both of you mold your identities into this one thing as the couple, and so you kind of lose yourself in that. But like, yeah, I would be at home at my family's working, and then she would get mad at me in the middle of the night and call me, and then I'd have to drive 3 hours to Charleston to like make her not mad at me, and
Hmm.
just that kind of shit. I mean, it's just constantly arguing, and you're like, I don't even want to do this. This is weird. This is not worth it at all. But it's fine. I'm
It's
in this
funny
house
sometimes
because
when
of
your
her.
relation. Yeah, that's right. I remember you told me. So that's funny when you have relationships like that. You think you never live without them, and then after a while, you realize, "Fuck that! What was I doing with that person?" It's amazing
Oh, so
how time
so I
apart.
my two good buddies have been in relationships for like right around several months and a year for both of them, pretty much, and they're always fighting, they're always bickering, and I go, I'm so glad when I get off the phone, I'm not going to be sad anymore because this isn't my situation. I'm just
Yeah,
going to go back to jerking off and playing golf. That's what I'm doing. So
two of men's favorite things to do.
yeah,
Our
usually
next
at the same
story,
time.
Dalai Lama apologizes for asking a boy to suck his tongue. I don't know if you saw this video. Odd moment, the Dalai Lama is saying, "Suck my tongue," and the boy's like, "What the fuck is going on?" Um, you watch the video though, it's kind of like the Dalai Lama being playful a little bit. He didn't say "suck my dick," he just said "suck my tongue." I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
You,
how
you read
sexual
you
can
read the
sucking a tongue be?
I read the rebuttal is that there's a whatever his religion is or whatever his culture is, there's an actual term that people use in a playful way, and it's called "eat my tongue." And the translation came across as "suck my tongue." So I believe that Dolly was absolutely totally innocent in his approach to this kid. He did not mean anything sexual or negative or anything like that. But I did write a joke, and the joke was of course, there's the word dalliance, which is sexual frivolity. So instead of being called the Dalai Lama, he should be called the Dalliance Lama.
Very nice.
get in line to suck my tongue. Ah, beautiful. Our next story, a Canadian woman has 1 month to get rid of more than 130,000 chocolate bars that somehow she overordered during the pandemic. I guess it all came in once. She ordered a lifetime subscription. They sent it all on once, it seems. Um, now I'm on a weight loss thing. I haven't eaten chocolate. I'm away from it, but I forget the story is kind of stupid. What's your favorite chocolate bar, Jacob?
Ooh, Hershey's with almonds.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah.
David,
Any kind of chocolate. But
any
I
kind of
can't eat
chocolate?
chocolate. I don't eat. Yeah, I don't eat chocolate anymore because it's sugar, and sugar is not good for me. It's not diabetic.
Yeah,
It just makes me nasty.
yeah. And I'll tell you right now, sugar is the killer. That's why I'm losing weight. I stopped taking all kinds of sweets. But when I can eat, my one of my favorite chocolate bars is a Reese's right out of the refrigerator. And our last story, a Canadian woman has 1 month to get rid. Oh, I already did that. Well, I'm sorry about that. This is great. When things are bad, when you do Harry Carry together, a couple reportedly beheaded themselves in a sacrifice with homemade guillotine. Well
Nice.
crafted guillotine at a couple's house in India. You put your head in there. I put my head in there. I pull the string. The chops our head off, and our head rolls into the fire. Goodbye, world. Question is,
That
are we
seems
going to
like
see
an
more of
odd
this?
plan.
Yeah, are we going to see
I
more of
hope
this
not.
kind of shit as the world gets crazier?
I hope not.
Well, no,
David?
Indians have funny ways of killing. They have funny ways of killing themselves. Like a lot of the Buddhists during the Vietnam War, they would set themselves on fire and shit like that. I mean, they really go to extremes in terms of
Hmm,
figuring out ways to kill themselves. Chopping your
wow.
head off. I hope the blade was sharp. That's all.
Oh, nothing worse than a dull blade and a beheading.
You gotta
You
wait
know?
for someone to walk by. Hey, pal, can you pull this thing up again and let it fall down?
Yeah. Well, that was the one. I think the real horrible thing was back when the English Al Qaeda guy he cut the journalist's head off on a live video
Oh,
back.
wasn't
I'm
that
talking about 70.
Daniel something or
Yeah,
another?
and they just show the guy like
Suganagi
fucking
or something.
cutting through his neck. I mean, it wasn't like a slice.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a nice
Yeah.
blade and you cut right through it, you don't feel shit. But but if you got using a fucking butter knife, that's a bit
That
questionable.
was Daniel Pearl.
Yeah,
Yeah, another Jew,
Daniel
and he
Pearl.
was Jewish. So he was Jewish.
Huh. Well, wonder if that has anything to do with it, but he should be used to it. You know, had his dick cut off. He got circumcised, so a little different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's. It's time for Let's Associate, everybody. I'm going to give you a word or phrase. You tell me the first story thing that comes to mind. You guys ready? I'll start first with
Let's do
Jacob,
it.
and then we'll alter every other word. You each once Jacob is done, David, you tell me. Our first word or expression is new material.
Awful.
Yeah.
Exciting.
What is it?
Exciting.
Exciting, right? Nothing better
Are
when
we
new
supposed to do
material
one?
hits and it fucking. You could
Are
tell a
we doing
story.
one
You could
word?
tell
Are
you
we?
could no.
Oh,
It could be, and you could tell the last time you told. It could be anything that comes to mind. A story, a joke you just wrote that's new. Anything that the expression makes you think of.
well, there's new material. Every second there's new material just flooding into my brain and flooding into my. I write with my left hand so I can keep up with all the new material that's coming into my head. It's phenomenal. Uh, Henry David Thoreau called it "flashes of light from heaven." It's a beautiful expression. It's not thinking; it's new material. There's no thought
The right
involved.
the writer of the Walden, great Arthur.
I like
Right.
to think of it. I like to think of it as it's almost like a miracle if you get some new material that works and you write it down or you think about it and you're like, oh wow, that's actually going to work. That's pretty much a miracle as far as my head goes because as a new guy, your brain isn't may or may not constantly be able to shape thought into jokes, and so when you finally do, after the 150 things you've thought about, you're like, wow, that is so nice. I'm so happy that happened because
Yeah.
if I could just keep doing that, that would be great.
All right.
Gift.
Our next expression, David, road trip.
Oy. Uh, Tiring. A lot of coffee. I've been drinking mushroom coffee to stay up on these road trips because I have a tendency to drive in my sleep. I used to walk in my sleep, and that's how I got out of the army. I was a somnambulist, and I didn't know. I didn't know they didn't want people walking in their sleep in the army with a gun. So I'm on these road trips. I love road trips. I love talking to myself. I love going over my material in the car. I'm really crazy about road trips. So I'm going to take another one this Saturdays. That's a long drive to Florida.
Yeah. The old Fort Walton gig. Jacob.
Fayetteville, North Carolina.
The one road trip, and it was fun. Yeah,
It was great.
I tell you, I love them because like you, I think in motion I'm more creative. So when I'm on the road driving, like some people say, "How can you drive 10 hours?" I'm like, when I'm driving, David's driven with me. Number one, he complains about how fast I drive. Number one, but I am when my mind is preoccupied with everything else on the road, my creative mind just has time to really relax and start thinking of shit. So I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Our
Hey,
next
Dougie, I don't mind the speed. It's when you take your hands off the wheels. That's what I mind.
well, I got a car with driver assist. I got that bowl hit feature. I press two buttons,
Yeah.
it controls the speed of my steering just long enough for me to pack a bowl. Um, New expression. Let's start with Jacob. Deal breaker.
Ooh. Dang, that's a tough one. Cause I don't really have one, but um, we'll just say bigger dick than mine on a woman.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. David?
Deal breaker for me is with a woman is alcohol, cigarettes, uh, and doesn't like anal sex.
There you go.
Bingo.
Deal bre- Deal breaker for me is a woman who has bad breath and farts in public.
Nice.
Oh, well, I just said it. Bad breath. David, bad breath.
Disgusting. I have it all the time. My daughter is always telling me my breath stinks every time. Not every time, but quite a lot. She's just too fucking honest. You know, I
Yeah.
wake up in the morning. First thing I do is brush my teeth because I know I'm going to kiss her goodbye. And I've learned I just got to brush my teeth because my daughter will catch me on it.
I have terrible breath, David, so I'm right there with you. I have to brush my teeth morning, lunch, and night just to not be disgusting when I talk to people.
I will tell you that I've smelled Jacob's breath on occasion. I've been like, holy shit. This
I
guy
don't know what
wipes his
causes
ass
it.
with his. Yeah, that's you got to figure that shit out. I know working out of the house that happens to me sometimes. I was just talking to somebody working out of the house and have my office in the house. I sometimes I'll go all day and I even brush my teeth because I'm not around anybody. It's not like I got to
Yeah.
brush my teeth for a Zoom meeting. And there's sometimes I'm home so often I'll realize I don't go anywhere. It's like 3 days before I shower. I'm like, what the fuck? I'll reach up to grab something off a shelf. I'm like, oh my god, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I better shower.
Yeah.
All right.
That'll be rough.
I think we had a couple of these here. These are. I'll skip one here. David, Green Room.
Oh, that was a great comic TV show that I forget.
Oh,
Provenza,
Provenza.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Provenza.
Paul
Provenza.
Provenza. Yeah.
He started that. That was a great show. I actually
Yeah.
talked to him in a bar one night at the Flappers Bar, and I loved watching that show. Just a bunch of comics really having a good time.
That was a
Very
great
often
show.
that doesn't happen. He was great at it.
Paul's great.
And
Jacob,
you have to reach a certain level where you get a good green room, but most places don't have a green room.
it's true.
Great green
Uh,
room at the
I've
Comedy Zone.
I've never been in a green room, so the green room makes me think of something I would like to be in one day. That's about what I think of. But yeah, to David's point, that show was awesome, and I've always loved. That's why I like podcasts so much. Is I just like hearing comics talk, and so the green room was kind of the first example of that. Even though it was filmed and there was an audience, it was just comics talking, and I've always really liked that. I've watched every episode multiple times.
It's awesome. Yeah. I think it's great. I think that you're right. There's a lot of different. The best green room to this day I've been in is the Laugh Factory in Vegas. Bar, liquor. There's food, candy, everything is in that green room, which was awesome. And the last thing I'll say about green rooms: if you're in a green room and you're not the headliner, do not be the one talking. Do not be the one asking all kinds of questions. Be the one that is sitting there, maybe answering questions, but for the most part, do not be the main attention. Lay low while you're in there, and definitely don't bring people in that are your friends. Liners green room. Well, fellas, that's all we have time for in the Wake Up Play with Dougie show. I want to thank Jacob Nolan and, of course, David Zaslav for joining us today here on the Wake Up Play with Dougie show. David, you're going to be in Fort Walton Beach, the Comedy Zone at the Block this Saturday. Anything else coming up?
No, that's the most important thing right now. It's what I'm focusing. Right now. I'm really busy finishing up writing my autobiography. You know, and I really had been a long haul. I'm working on it for 7 or 8 years, and I'm
Nice.
finally doing part one. I think it's called Everything I Didn't Tell My Therapist.
That's a good name.
Pretty good title.
That's a good name.
Jacob, what's coming up for you? Where can people find you?
Jacob Nolan Comedy on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. I'm just trying to get back out of some more mics. And I'm trying to go to some different cities for mics just to kind of see what's out there. I'm going to Salt Lake City at the end of the month, and I'm going to try to do the open mic at Wise Guys out there. And I'm going to try to take a trip out to Austin, Texas soon, late spring, to hit a couple of mics out there just to see what different scenes are like. So just kind of exciting, trying new things for me.
That's a great idea. I'd like to go to Austin myself. This Friday night, I'm going to be at the Punchline in Atlanta competing in the World Series of Comedy, 8 o'clock show. So if you happen to be in the Buckhead area in Atlanta, the Punchline, I'll be there. Come on out, 8 o'clock. Tell them you're there to see me and cheer me on and boo everybody else. That being said, everybody, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube, Wake Up Late with Dougie Show. And of course, our fan page on Facebook, Wake Up Late with Dougie Show, and on Twitter at Wake Up Dougie. Aside from that, we'll have a show next week. I plan on being home here in Simpsonville for the next several weeks, taking care of business. And so we got some great guests coming up, more shows. Stay tuned for more right here at this same spot. God bless.